Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi sahbihi ajma'een. My dear respected brothers and sisters who already had samosas and mashallah snacks, so you can wait for dinner. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. So I'm waiting for the number, but inshallah we'll find out. Oh, we did it. We did it. Thank you. We ordered 500 samosas. And there are only 2 left on the table back there. So if we delay dinner by a little bit, I'm not worried. Because those samosas did not have legs. They didn't walk anywhere. They are here in this room. And mashallah, I'm so happy that you got to know the samosas. We are honored that you attend these gatherings. We never take it for granted when the brothers and sisters from BDesh reach out to me. I never take it for granted that people will just show up. As beloved Imam Suhaib has said, the work is showing up. The impact is showing up. It is truly important for us to realize for the first several years since the founding of BDesh, and I've been coming, mashallah, that whole time, that we were really focused on doing work back home. And you not only attended, but you donated so much of what was presented in the annual report in terms of the impact, as well as typically the transfer of technology happens from the west to the east. In this case, BDesh perfected the showbiz building model of entrepreneurship and trying to serve the needy without ever questioning their dignity or without ever attempting to say, we are here to save you. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of them and He will save them. We are only tools to get to the destination. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless every single one of you for staying with us throughout that whole time. Give yourselves a big round of applause for that. The program tonight, as you have seen behind the scenes, is and continues to be run mostly by youth. This is a true sign, in addition to being a volunteer-based organization, it's a true sign of prophetic leadership that beloved Imam Suhaib just talked about, where you start in your lifetime to hand off the leadership and to train the next generation so that they are not waiting for their turn, they are having their turn. And if you see anything good come out of tonight's program, you should stop and give a big round of applause to all of the youth who have been working so hard to put it together. As we said in the introduction, I'm a professor of social work in Ward 1, not in Ward 8, Sister Erica, where you are, in the ANC, but I'm very familiar. By virtue of where Howard University is based, how much is happening, as Imam Ali said earlier. There is a river, and there's east of the river, and there's everything else. So today, when we turn our attention from Bangladesh only momentarily into the inner city here in America, we are saying, we are living out the prophetic teachings that beloved Imam Suhaib mentioned, and the Quran mentions very directly. When you feed them, when you feed those who are needy, the Quran says, say, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. The Quran says, say to them that we feed you seeking the countenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً. We do not seek from you any reward. وَلَا شُكُورًا. Any thanks. Which means what? That you will see, this is no exaggeration, you will see the community that supports BDesh in every branch of Adam Center. You will see them selflessly and quietly and tirelessly, never seeking the limelight, doing civic engagement, and you will see them when everyone else has left, and they're helping to clean up the facility that was used. This is the organization that you and I are here to support today. So let me pause There's a box going around, young man who made the adhan. So if he's only collecting pledge forms, that's okay. But do not bring out your cash just yet. The goal tonight is to raise $100,000. Did you hear me? How much is it?
$100,000.
Oh, you sound like you did not have any samosas. And how many samosas did we eat? 500. No, 498 because there's 2 still there on the table. So if you can think, now if I'm switching, if you can think about what it means to have a food truck that is bought by BDesh, as Imam Ali mentioned, with your donations, a food truck that will generate jobs by virtue of the people who will now take the technology that was perfected right here in Sterling, Virginia, in the Serve a Meal Kitchen. Take it on the road with the truck, the food truck. That food truck will cost us $50,000. The children who are living in the inner city, to take them on field trips will cost us $25,000. And the Serve a Meal Kitchen that you and I, hopefully, how many of you, I'm not fundraising yet, how many of you, by a show of applause, actually order food on Fridays from Serve a Meal Kitchen by a show of applause? How many? Only this side eats. This side you don't order food? How many of you, by show of applause? Serve a Meal Kitchen? Alright? Still not everyone. They are so good with their counting and accounting that my wife, subhanAllah, has this whole system where she orders food from them. One day we couldn't make it there. We were running late. We went out to eat in another restaurant, and one of the board members showed up and said, "Where are you?" Right? You didn't eat with us today, and we had to say, "Astaghfirullah, forgive us. We're running late." Right? So that technology was perfected. That kitchen has been, mashallah, barakah filled and used and overused. Now we need to work on the equipment to bring it back up to scale at $25,000. So think of a bus for the field trips, a food truck, and the equipment in the kitchen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, throughout the Quran, keeps reminding us again and again and again, this is not your wealth. It is not my wealth. Whatever we have, it comes to us from Allah. So when He says in the Quran that He is Al-Raziq, He is the sustainer, you firmly believe it, and then the verse comes. Say, O Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, قُلْ إِنَّ رَبِّي يَبْسُطُ رِزْقًا لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Say to them, it is my Lord that expands the sustenance of whomever He wills. وَيَقْدِرُ لَهُ. And He constricts the sustenance of whomever He wills. But the amazing thing is, my brother-in-law is an economist. I'm sure he and others would never say, this is what's coming next in the verse. Expansion of sustenance, constriction of sustenance. Immediately afterwards he says, وَمَا أَنْفَقْتُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ. Whatever it is you spend in times of difficulty and ease, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, He replaces what you spend. You have sat in St. Joseph Parish Hall. You have donated. You have seen, inshallah, the blessings come again and again and again. Where were you in Ramadan? What saf were you standing in? What sajda do you remember when you made a dua? Allah answered the dua. There is a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends 2 angels every morning. 2 angels every morning to see which one of us is spending in the path of Allah. 2 angels report. It reminds me of the story. My beloved nephew is actually here. When he was very young, his mother was upset at him, as all parents are sometimes with their children. And she said, for him to stop doing whatever he was doing, she said, the angels are writing everything you're doing. They're on your right and your left shoulder. And immediately, he started moving like this. And she got upset and she said, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to mess up the handwriting of the angels. This is the Muslim American kids we're raising. This is what literally who we're raising at home, right? So the angels make dua every single time Every single time we donate, the amount is not specified. In fact, the angels say, Allahumma ati munfiqan khalafa. Oh Allah, give to the person something in place of what they have spent. You know what's beautiful about that? Angels do not forget. You say to me, oh, you're traveling, make dua, I may forget. You say to me, you have a job interview, make dua, I may forget. You say to me, so-and-so is ill, they're not well, make dua, I may forget. The angels do not forget. And when we say tonight, the amount does not matter, believe me, the Prophet ﷺ said, ittaqun nar. Save yourselves from the fire, walau, even if it is with half of a date in sadaqah. You know what half of a date is? You know in Ramadan, how many events you go to? And what's left on the plates are the dates. And sometimes people have touched them, so nobody knows what's happened, so we throw them away. A half of a date in sadaqah could save a person from the hellfire. And the story comes to us from Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. She was at home one day. We're talking about food and feeding people who do not have anything in their fridge. She was at home one day in the home of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A knock came on the door. She opened the door. There was a mother and 2 children. The mother said, "We have nothing to eat." Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha narrates later that I searched every corner of the house. Whose house is this? This is the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She is the wife. She's not saying, I didn't find something I didn't want to give. There was nothing to give. In another narration, she says, sometimes in our home, the fire was not lit for 3 months at a time. 3 months at a time. What does it mean in those days? It means no warm food was cooked. No meat was being cooked for 3 months at a time. And we get upset when somebody invites us and they only had chicken and lamb, and we say, where was the fish and where was the goat? So she searches every part of the house. She finds nothing but 3 dates. She finds how many? 3 dates. She goes to the mother. She says, I am so sorry. This is all we have. She gives the 3 dates. The mother takes the 3 dates. She has 2 children waiting who have not eaten. She takes 1 date and gives it to 1 child. 1 date and gives the 2nd child. Keeps the 3rd date for herself. Within a fraction of a second, the dates are gone because the children are hungry and they turn back and they look to her for more. So she takes the date. Save yourselves from the hellfire with half of a date. She takes the 1 date that she has remaining. She splits it into 2 and gives it each to the child. The mother never ate. The mother never ate. When you hear the elderly debating at the cash register whether to eat food or to buy medicine, this is in our backyard. This is not in some distant land. This is in our backyard. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us, when I gave you everything, you wanted to migrate to America, I changed the immigration policy to create the diversity lottery visa, and you came by the tens and the tens and the tens, then what did you do? But now we can say, oh Allah, we answered your call. We took care of our family at home, back in Bangladesh, with all of the entrepreneurial projects, to Shobit Poli and everything else. And then we said, we're also now turning to our brothers and sisters right here at home. Tonight, the first person that raises their hand to donate will open the door to good deeds. Everyone who follows, that first person gets the reward. I was already given a note of a donation of $5,000. Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Your takbir sounds like you need some more samosas. Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
The dua is, Allahumma ati munfiqan khalafa. Oh Allah, give to the person something in place of what they have spent. Say Ameen.
Ameen.
Now that's 95,000 remaining. Who tonight says, either you have the money, you give it outright, they have machines that are walking around, you can tap the card, you can tell them how much to give. Or you say, I will give it in installments. Or you say, I'll give some of it, but I'll get family and friends to give the rest. So 5,000 is 10 of your friends. Do you have 10 friends? 10 friends on your WhatsApp group that can give 500 each. And you can say to them, you are not a random friend that I'm messaging. I will give 500. Can you guys each join me in giving 500? Who are you 10? You are the ones that came to my mind when I thought about Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ said, when we die, and inshallah we go to Jannah, when we bring to mind people we miss and we love, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will present them to us. And so you say to them, you are the 10 that I thought about when I thought about giving tonight. May we all be united in Jannah. Is there a second hand tonight? You have it in installments, or you do it with friends and family for $5,000. For $5,000. Where is the second person? A brother, a sister, a business? Do I see a hand in the back there? MashaAllah. There's a sister in the back, MashaAllah. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahumma ati munfiqan khalafa. Say Ameen.
Ameen.
MashaAllah. Third hand. We're at 90 now. Remaining 2 and 5 already. Third person. Brother, sister, a group of friends, right? A business. Give in sarra'i with dara'i. Gives in times of ease and in times of difficulty. A third hand for $5,000. $5,000. Again, a brother, a sister, a group of friends, however you do it. Believe me, with the number of people in the audience, I was humbled to say the goal was only 100,000. I thought we should do this very quickly, and the only dua we'll make is the dua to eat, and we can go on. Think about what we're talking about here. We are talking about Muslims living out the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he said he is not a believer. The companions used to sit up straight and listen. Because if you're telling me that somebody is not a believer, I want to know what is that category. He is not a believer who goes to bed full. His stomach is full when he knows that his neighbor is hungry. Did you just see what happened? He connected belief. He connected actual belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with feeding those near us and next to us. Third hand for 5,000 before I move on. 5,000 going once, and it is a tax-deductible donation. It is a tax-deductible donation, which means the dua, Allahumma ati munfiqan khalafa, oh Allah, replace that is being spent, what is being spent, that is the barakah of giving, but the IRS will also, inshallah, give you a tax deduction, which you can check with your accountant about, so you get both in this life and also, inshallah, in the akhirah. 5,000. The third hand for 5,000 before I move on. 5,000 going once, 5,000 going twice and a half. Khair, inshallah, no problem with that. Government assistance only goes so far. If you talk to people who are on government assistance, they will tell you by the third week of the month, the cupboards are bare. The fridge is nearly empty, and there's barely anything to eat. So when BDesh goes down into DC, when there are over $4,000 worth of food in partnership with Rashidun and other organizations being distributed, what we are saying is we are filling the gap between what must be, what should be, and what has to be. What should be is that this should have been taken care of by the government for everyone, but it's not enough. What has to be is that we have to step up and take care of it. $2,500 is basically your family saying, we will not eat out in a restaurant just once a month. Whatever money, when we don't eat out, we will save that and we'll give that in donation to BDesh. $2,500. How many hands can we get tonight? We're going to get the total, inshallah, so you will know how